Hi everybody, my name is Jan Dufour and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator located just outside of Louisville, Kentucky. Today we're going to make a You're Marvelous card using Marvelous Nature. It does have two other sentiments, lots of love and thanks for everything, which look nice. These birds are beautiful as well. But we're kind of into the fall season, so I thought I would do something fallish. These are big stamps with a lot of dark space behind them, which ends up being whatever color you decide. There are little things that I learned along the way that I will share with you. The first thing is, depending on what color you choose, and I will show you some choices that I made. When you use a very dark color, this is stamped twice. This is stamped twice. This is stamped twice. This is only stamped once because when I stamped it twice, it got really dark, which is fine, but I didn't feel like it double stamped looked as good with this, and this is Blackberry Bliss, with the backing on here. So I came up with a way to, and of course the reason I double stamped was because I didn't feel like I got great coverage. It covered well, but not as good as I wanted. So let me show you what I did to come up with doing that. And we're going to make the Moody Mauve version. And this one is an elevated white. This one's got more color space. This one is the form that we're doing with just a thin outline background, a little bit bigger background, and then the space. And I will give you all of the measurements on my project sheet for both versions with the more or the less. So you can look for the project sheet. If you are on my YouTube channel, you'll need to go to my website, which is stampmesilly.com, and you will find the project sheet in this blog post. And you will also find the supply list and all those things that you need to do along with the video and instructions. If you have any questions, you can email me at jandufour@yahoo.com. If you'd like to purchase something from me, you can go directly to my store at jandufour.stampinup.net. If you have any issues or problems, you can again email me and I'll see what I can do for you. All right, so to make this card, the measurements for the basic white, which is the background here, is 3 3/4 by 5. Again, this will all be on the project sheet. In this particular case, I used Mossy Meadow for the green background, and that size is 5 1/4 by 4. And then the Moody Mauve, which is just showing a hair, kind of to bring this back in focus, is 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. So I already have all of those pieces cut. And I'm going to show you a trick. For those of you who have not seen my stamp positioner, which I think cost, I want to say $4, maybe $5. I can't remember. There's a video on stamp positioners. Go to my website, stampmesilly.com. Search stamp positioners. You'll see this one and an L-shaped one. Unfortunately, our wonderful, most wonderful stamp positioner was taken off the market because there was a lawsuit going on, which is ridiculous in my opinion. And I have 2 lawyers in my family. The person suing was not showing a product similar. We had a lot better things on our Stamparatus, but unfortunately they're gone. So I came up with the way, because I think it's really important to have a stamp positioner, especially if you're new. You know, you're going to be shaken when you try to put it down and things, you know, go wrong. If you have arthritis, it's very helpful. So I just think that a stamp positioner is really important. Now you can buy, there are 2 on the market that are very popular. They're very expensive. They were more expensive than our Stamparatus was, and I didn't think they did quite as much. However, like I said, I can't remember, $4 or $5 to make this. It is a stamp case. I put some magnet sheets in it, put a little bit of clear, what am I trying to say? Clear acetate so that I could wipe up messes, etc. And there's a piece of cardstock, or not cardstock, chipboard, a couple of them to make them the level that they're supposed to be. Go to the stamp positioner and it'll show you how it's made and why. But basically what it does is if you put this up in the corner, this is the reason for the magnet underneath it. Again, we're going to make the Moody Mauve. And I've already verified that this is in the right position. I show you how to do that in the other blog. So I'm doing both the words and you can see it pooling. I have a very juicy, this is one of the newer colors, so it's very juicy. That's okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and stamp and push over the area where the stamp is. And I got a good contact with it, but as you can see, there's a little bit of bubbling. Again, it's because it's a juicy pad that happens. There are certain things you can do if you want. You can scrape off some ink. I'm not a fan of doing that just because I'm wasting ink, but there's ways to fix it. The first way would be to stamp it twice. In this case, the Misty Mauve stamped twice does match nicely with the Moody Mauve cardstock, so I was happy to stamp it twice. In the case of the Blackberry Bliss, this is only stamped once with a trick, and this is stamped twice. And again, I mean, they match because they're the same color. I just felt like it was too dark. So what you can do is take one of our blender pens and take I'm going to put this aside because I'm done with it. Take this and just, oops, I think I have color. No, just color on it. Just smooth out the coloring. If you bring this to spaces that are darker and there's a little bit of ink missing, so I'm just going to bring in some more and spread it around. Oops, that's a wet piece. And then when you let this dry, you will get a look like this. And if you notice, there's a little bit of blending in there. It's a shaded piece and it looks really nice. And this particular stamp is good for it because you can not worry too much about edging and stuff like that. And get in there. And again, this one would need a little bit of more color. And then when that dries out, that'll be all even. And if you need to go back over it to spread it just a little bit more because this one stamped a certain way, you can do that as well. And I think it almost look like a watercolor look. And again, it looks funny right now. I'll show it to you later after it's dried. It really does blend it out, and it doesn't make it darker because I didn't want it darker. So there's that. Again, with the Misty Moonlight, why do I want to say that? With the Moody Mauve, I did stamp it twice. It still left a little spot here that I want to add just a little bit more color. And I'm just, again, it looks like I'm making a mess, but when it dries, you will see that it blends very nicely. So I'm going to put that away. And then we're going to glue these together. Now, I purposely, on this card, made a very small border. It highlights it. I think probably the Pretty Peacock one is my favorite for the multiple layers order, if you will. This has just got a very narrow border. I call this my half inch or my half layer. It's not the normal 1/4 inch less all the way around. It's 1/8 of an inch less all the way around. So it makes it a smaller section. I will link at the bottom of my blog post the chart that I have, which I will show you momentarily after I get rid of this. And when you're putting it down, eyeball it for it being centered, and then just drop it. Don't push on it. At this point, you can pick it up and move it around if you want to. But if it's in the right place, then you can go ahead and press down. So the chart I'm talking about is actually, oops, I have some up here. These are laminated. Of course, when you download it, it's not laminated. You can laminate it yourself or just have it. But I have, with the A2 card, this is the size of the card. This is the size of the envelope. Here's a half layer, which is the layer of Moody Mauve. And then the first layer, which is the Mossy Meadow. And then I skipped over to the second layer. I skipped this half size, so you got a little bit more of a border for the basic white. And this is a free download. I think there's 4 or 5 on the sheet. Just cut out what you want, what you could use. I hope you all are doing well. It's really hot here right now, but by the time you view this, I believe we will be pretty much out of the scorching hotness in Louisville. Again, I didn't press it down until I was sure I liked where it was. And then you notice I put a gem on it. So let me show you the gems I used. Let me bring back all of the different colors. This one has a bigger border than this one, just to show you the difference. These two, and then the Blackberry Bliss. This is my favorite, and this only has 2 colors, which you can obviously do. And I put some strips of double-sided adhesive foam to elevate that up, and I just think that that's nice. But you know, having a gem on it is all about putting the finishing touches on it, which is not required, but it does make it look very pretty. Now I use 3 different kinds. You can make it simple on yourself by using plain rhinestones, white rhinestones, you know, not having to worry about having all kinds of different colors. I just like having lots of different colors. So on the Misty Mauve, no, I lied. On the, holy cow, Pretty Peacock, I used a gem from Masterfully Made Sequins. And I love these because they're flat. Not exactly flat, but they're not as elevated as the other gems are. And then I used the 2023 to 2025 in color dots for both the pecan pie, and I also used the Moody Mauve for one of the cards, and then the other card I colored one of these gems with a blender pen, and that made it approximately the same color. You're never going to get exactly the same when you color them, but it does help. So I hope you enjoyed these projects. I will have a project sheet on my blog, and I will also put the measurement sheet on that blog. And hopefully with those downloads, you'll be able to recreate these. I'll also put a link in for my stamp positioner. Thanks so much, guys. I hope you appreciated this. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye.